now I see young people who quite frankly haven't done anything, but they all feel that they need to be rolling in like the latest car because everything has to be instant.
So if you fast forward now to maybe when you're a bit older, to where you're on the scene, you're potentially got some ideas in your head of what kind of wife you want for yourself in the future. Did how your own mother was in the house have an influence on that?
Yes, because I think one of the things, I think this was all subconsciously, what I was looking for was a strong woman. Because my mum was definitely that, and I would say my wife is 100% a strong woman, who is not afraid to speak her mind, but has that balance of being a wife, and also sometimes stepping up and being taking the lead, but without, if you like, minimizing my role or my voice.
Yeah.
And how important do you think that is?
I think it's absolutely critical for both parties. I think she would tell you it's funny, I work in finance, but in terms of our family finance, she used to just bring documents home and say, oh, I've been thinking about this, and I'd be half listening, say, signed it. I just signed it. Right? I just signed it. Right? Because I had absolute faith, trust and confidence in her judgment. Now, did she abuse that and not take my view into account on certain other things? No. So I think it's really critical that women have this balance. Now, it obviously, in order for them to be able to exact that balance, the man has to be willing to listen to them. All right. But from a woman's perspective, I think it's really critical that they have that balance of, yes, sometimes you can lead, and sometimes you do have to allow us to take that position.
Yeah, it's a really important point. I suppose something that you mentioned just now, you spoke about how your mum was in the house. One thing which I feel gets maybe misunderstood, and I've heard a lot of women say it anyway, is around men look for their mothers in women or in their partners, and they're looking for a mummy figure. I know that's not something I sign up to, but how could you explain this from your point of view about how you were seeking a strong woman but not a replacement for your mum? So I think that's sometimes the narrative. I don't know if you've heard. I've heard it certainly.
Of course, that's been said for years. But the point being is, what aspect of your mother you're looking to replicate? Because my mum was a great mum. Did she pamper me? No. So I'm not looking for somebody to come and wipe my nose, right? But the aspect of my mum that absolutely I was looking for, and I say this was on a subconscious level, is a strong woman, a woman that wasn't afraid to work if she has to work, and not afraid to say if she has to say something, but also a kind woman. So saying to somebody you shouldn't look for somebody of your mother's qualities is, in my mind, the wrong thing to say. It depends on what is it you're looking to take from your mother into your wife. If it's a case of your mummy spoils you and you expect your wife to do that, obviously that doesn't make a lot of sense. But certainly from my perspective, it was about looking for a strong woman that also had a great heart, and was very generous, and I found that in my wife.
Now, observing from, you got a son yourself, observing from how it is nowadays, what you can see from the outside, do you see women nowadays with a lot of those qualities that your mum had or that your wife has got currently? From what you can see.
Well, obviously times have changed, and with change, it's not always for the better. So, to try and answer your question, what has been better is that women have become more empowered, and it is becoming a fairer society. It's still not there, but a fairer society. So women can aspire to and acquire in different industries great roles, and that is something that didn't happen 30, 40 years ago on a very generic scale. But with that, let's just say, increase in power, as the advert says, comes responsibility. So to come back to your question regarding my son's generation, my observation is that you have a lot of young women who are doing great things in terms of they have financial independence and they have, great careers. But what seems to, in my opinion, is lacking is this empathy about being a good partner to their husband. And that sometimes means, that doesn't mean sucking up to any man, not at all. But that means sometimes understanding their weaknesses. Women seem to be, a lot of the young women I observe, it is, what can you bring for me? If you're not bringing X, Y, Z, then boy, run along, right? Is there the feeling of let's build something together? A phrase that used to be around again when I was growing up is, they used to say women used to mold men, and that's true. That's true. But to mold something, it takes time and effort. I don't think generically that a lot of the younger women around today are prepared to mold a man for their benefit, not for his, for theirs as well.
Do you think there's a lack of patience there? Like, nowadays, not just women, but men in general, we want everything ready-made. We want it now. There's no, going back to you and the relationship with your wife now, I'm your nephew. I know the story. I know that you've been together for a very long time, and you've very much grown over the years together and built together and become very successful together.
Yeah.
But maybe some people who don't know you might look from the outside and think that's happened overnight. But what they don't see is the building from the actual start. Do you think women nowadays and men are willing to just say, see something in somebody and say, I'm going to stick with you. I got faith with you. We're going to build something together?
Again, generically, I think the answer is no. And as I was telling my kids the other day, I said, you're part of the instant generation. Everything has to be now. Everything. Simple example. I as you well know, I used to have some banger motors, right? Like literally. And if I used to think to myself, that's all right, because when I'm 5 years down the line, I'll have the car of my dreams. Even 10 years down the line, maybe I was a bit too patient. Now I see young people who quite frankly haven't done anything, but they all feel that they need to be rolling in like the latest car, because everything has to be instant. It's an instant generation. So to go back to your question, do I think, and this goes for both men and women, do I think that they are prepared to put in the hard yards in order to gain something? I think the answer is no.
What do you think as well, when we go back to your parents, do you think them coming from the kind of background they've come from, coming from the Caribbean, coming from struggle really, kind of influenced, like maybe them being together wasn't so much about love and I love you, and it was about surviving. It was about survival, and they knew together they're much stronger than being separate. I think nowadays it might be a thing where people are thinking, I don't need you because I can financially be okay without you. And
it was a journey for them, wasn't it?
It was a journey.
It was a journey.
Yeah, it was more of a we thing. Now it's more like an I thing. I'm independent. I don't need no man. I don't need, like, where do you think that's been lost?
I think that is an excellent point, and I think it's absolutely accurate. But again, I'll coin that phrase again. With power comes responsibility. So talking about our sisters, right? They have become more financially independent, which is a good thing. But just because you're financially independent and you can stand on your own 2 feet by yourself, doesn't mean you should be by yourself, right? Doesn't mean that is better for you holistically. Now, another common phrase that came about, I don't know, over the last 20, 30 years is women can have it all. No, they can't. Nobody has it all, right? Not man or woman. So you can be the most successful woman financially. You could be the CEO of God knows what, right? But I don't care who you are. If you haven't got somebody to come home to at night that is real with you, Now, not everybody wants kids, so let's leave that aside for the moment. But somebody that's real with you, then you are missing out on something.
You're lacking, yeah.
You are lacking something.
What you cooking,